way for re-election to the Football League, now lauding it in the Premier League. And Norwich City, who, as Richard has told you, can go back to the top of the Premier League tonight. Their form has faltered a little of late, to be honest with you, but they're still right up there with a third of the season gone. Let's check on tonight's two teams, shall we? Well, Oldham's goals have dried up of late, but tonight they have striker Ian Olney back after missing a couple of games with a shoulder injury. Good work that by Oldham's backroom team to get him ready. It means that Neil MacDonald has to drop down to substitute. At the back, watch for the man who's so taken the eye of the England manager, Graham Taylor. That's Richard Jobson.
Well, you mentioned it at the back, Ian, but it's up front where Joe Royal will be looking for a better return. The last 8 games, 8 competitive games, only 1 goal from Sharp, Olney and Marshall. He'll be looking for a far better return from those 3 tonight.
Well, as for Norwich City, they travelled yesterday with a squad of 17, and for the first time this season, manager Mike Walker has the luxury of everyone being fit. Striker Darren Beckford starts his first ever Premier League game after proving his fitness with a hat-trick for the reserves last week, and that exciting winger Rule Fox is also back after a long-term hamstring injury to play his first game in 3 months. Ian Culverhouse also returns, so Chris Sutton, Rob Newman and Jeremy Goss all step down.
Plenty changes in this side, but I would think you'll see the familiar 4-4-2 formation. David Phillips has been moved infield from the left side to accommodate Darryl Such, but all eyes from Norwich's view will be on number 8, Darren Beckford. And the mention of Darren Beckford, his first full competitive game this season in the Premier League, and I'm looking forward to his clash against a member of Graham Taylor's England squad, Richard Jobson.
Well, Graham Sharp here hasn't scored for 8 games, one of Andy Gray's old strike partners in his great days with Everton, and I suppose my reaction to that is he's overdue one.
He is overdue one, and considering I've got him on the sweep, I hope he comes good tonight, Ian.
Graham Sharp, whose testimonial match comes up on Saturday. Brian Gunn, the Norwich City goalkeeper who's had to overcome personal tragedy with the death of his daughter, Francesca, and you can only admire the courage of this man. Anyone with children, indeed anyone at all, your heart goes out to him. All our best wishes to Brian Gunn. Tonight's referee is Robbie Hart from Darlington, a garage proprietor. It's not a question of whether you'd buy a used car from this man, he only repairs them. They're the Norwich City fans, many of whom flew at 5 o'clock in a sponsored flight. The Norwich chairman, Robert Chase, doing a lot of the paying. It's going to be Norwich City who get us underway here in their familiar yellow and green canary colours, and must be a good feeling for Darren Beckford there in the number 8 shirt. He's had such a terrible time with injury since August when he was injured on the pre-season tour, but he's back tonight and he'll be looking for goals too. Norwich with a much changed lineup. Here's Graham Sharp for Oldham. So far this season, Norwich City's away games have averaged 5 goals every time, so we hope we might be in for a little treat tonight.
Certainly settle for something like that return, wouldn't we?
We would, wouldn't we? Milligan. Out to Neil Poynton. Rule Fox using his pace to get back quickly. Beckford looking to play the 1-2 with Robbins, who was just offside.
I'm not so sure if he was offside, Ian. Linesman didn't get himself exactly in line with the defenders there, and he certainly didn't look offside from our angle.
Oldham Athletic, by the way, just harking back to what Carlton Palmer was talking about prior to the kick-off, will be favoured by kicking down the slope in the second half, which is what they like to do. Oldham building again with Gunnar Haller, the Norwegian international, who just lost his footing for a moment on that far side, and Bowen clears it for Norwich. Phillips knocking this one forward to Beckford, who will certainly give Norwich a little bit more by way of aerial threat.
Yes, he will, and something to watch for tonight is that Oldham are so adventurous, and Cavalier, as Joe Royal puts it, that they're quite prepared to leave the two centre-backs, two against the Norwich strikers.
This is little Nick Henry, who hardly ever seems to be unfit to me. He played every league game for Oldham last year. Palla, Henry again. No in doing the covering. Of course, the last time Norwich were featured live on Sky Sports, they needed a win to go top against Nottingham Forest, and they came up with the goods with a stylish display at Carrow Road. Critical point in Norwich's season. Can they stay the pace with the leaders? Comes out the shot from Poynton. He's not a bad one, and it drops it. It's just wide of the post from Marshall, and it just will not go in for this man at the moment.
Well, that's probably the worst thing that could happen to Ian Marshall this early in the game. But he does everything else perfectly here as the ball comes back and it's driven. Just watch the way he controls this. Stops it brilliantly. It's there to be hit. All he's got to do is hit the target. Brian Gunn happy to see it go wide.
Well, poor Ian Marshall, last time we were here, he might have had about 4 or 5 against Everton and ended up with none. Indeed, since he's been moved back up front, the goals just won't come for him. But Joe Roy was saying, well, at least it's him that's missing them, and it's bound to come right pretty soon.
Well, if you're a striker, if you're playing up front, then if you're missing chances, then at least you're getting in there. I mentioned that to Mark Bright yesterday at Sheffield Wednesday. He was so disappointed he didn't score. But as I said to him, if you're getting in positions to miss them, then you're certainly doing something right. And you just got to keep getting in there. Eventually one will go in and you'll be off in a row.
Rather typical of what's been happening with Oldham lately. Graham Sharp is down injured.
Just talking about Graham Sharp there, I'm looking forward to Saturday. You mentioned his testimonial. He takes a right whack here from Ian Butterworth. Look at that in the back of the head. I hope it doesn't affect him for Saturday. I'm looking forward. I'm actually playing in that testimonial.
Oh, are you?
I'm actually playing on
so
Saturday.
That's Manchester against Merseyside, isn't it? 3 o'clock at Goodison this Saturday. Now, if you've got nothing to do Saturday, or even if you have, get along to that to support Graham Sharp. Let's hope he's fit for it.
Listen, I hope I'm fit for it. Never mind him.
What's the forward line in that?
The Merseyside forward line is going to be Sharp, Gray and Dalglish.
There's only one weak link there.
I think Kenny's quite a good player.
It should be a good game. Of course, no Premier League game Saturday with the England International coming up. So that's a spot of football you could catch up with at Goodison. Sky, of course, will be featuring the FA Cup first round. As Oldham attack again. Poynton's header. No problems at all for Brian Gunn. Neil Poynton, who came to Oldham in the move which took Rick Holden to Manchester City. Poynton and Redmond, in fact, were the 2 men that Oldham signed in the deal. Too much time with Butterworth. Norwich, of course, have had 1 or 2 fairly traumatic experiences away from home lately. The 7-1 mauling by Blackburn and a 4-1 beating at Liverpool. And I know that Mike Walker, the manager, wants to see them getting back on an even keel with a nice solid away display here tonight.
I think both managers are very conscious of the goals that you can see them want to tighten up a little bit better.
This is almost through to Beckford. Fox doing the pressuring, and Jobson was across. And once again, not the best of clearances from John Hallworth, the Oldham goalkeeper. The one before that put them in a spot of bother. Milligan wins it in the air for Oldham. Flicked on by Sharp, but too far for Henry. Darryl Such. He's a good penetrating player, Darryl Such. He scored his first league goal for Norwich against Middlesbrough last Saturday, and that's sure to have lifted his confidence.
I really don't think this will be anything other than a real attractive attacking game. I know both managers would mention a concern with the goals that they've let in, but both teams are geared to go forward. Both managers like to go forward, and certainly the players out there, the majority of them, are certainly all attack-minded players.
Jobson beaten in the air by Beckford, and now here is Little Rule Fox. That's a good idea. Had a nice bend on it, that, but it wasn't good enough to beat Redmond. Marshall. Sharp, looking to spread it wide, and does that to Haller, and Henry just offside. Nice flow about that move, though, from Oldham, and they do need the points. They're only a couple of places above the bottom three at the moment. Never an easy place, though, for visiting teams to come there. Perilous position in the table at the moment. Oldham really is really down to their away form. In 7 trips they've only got 3 draws and 4 defeats. Poynton across to clear up any danger. Sharp and Henry. Oldie was making the run, the ball through wasn't good enough. Jobson doing the covering. Not the best of defensive headers from him, though. Crook. Is Fox again with the cross. His cross is always a menace. A lot of the Norwich fans will be glad to see him back, but there might be a bit of ring rustiness after the long-serving hamstring injury. That looks a bit short, the back pass, but Brian Gunn was there. Butterworth's back pass asked a little bit of his goalkeeper. There's Mark Robbins, hasn't scored now for 7 games after 6 in 6 at the start for Norwich City, but really ditto for him as Graham Sharp. He's due one.
I think there's a lot of strikers out there due one, aren't there? I know Marshall's due one. Certainly Ian Olney has scored recently against Aston Villa. Will feel he should be scoring more. And obviously Darren Beckford wants to get his goals off and started.
It's often the way with strikers. I'm sure you found that as well, Andy. You had those little barren patches and then they suddenly arrive in a flood.
Well, that's it. Sometimes the softest and strangest of goals that start you off again. And that's what one of them will be looking for tonight. So what a ball hitting them or getting a tap in from about a yard.
So much of it down to confidence and touch. Now here's Haller. Well, the idea was possibly there, but the execution wasn't.
The one thing this formation does for Oldham, in my opinion, Ian, is the one thing you always know when you come here, or you used to come here, is you always got plenty of crosses to deal with. But because they play the 3 attackers up front, it really does restrict them in the wide areas. There's no real natural width. So there's a big onus on Gunnar Haller and Neil Poynton to try and get forward and produce a supply of crosses for 3 big frontmen.
This is Haller's cross, hanging in the air a bit. Oh, and this could be a chance for Olney, and a real important reflex save from Brian Gunn.
That's a great save from the big man.
Norwich have had 2 real let-offs. One chance off target from Marshall, and they were really indebted to their keeper.
It was a great save from the big man, really. It drops down. The cross comes in, and it's Paul Bernard who causes the confusion. He gets up there and keeps the ball in the box. Just there, it breaks to Olney. He must think he scored, but look how quickly Gunn was off his line.
Superb goalkeeping from Brian Gunn, who has yet to keep a clean sheet away from home this season.
Well, if he carries on playing the way he started, I think he'll have trouble beating them tonight.
He'd love to get back into Scottish contention as well, but of course Andy Gorham, who gave that very good display for Rangers against Leeds United, very much the number 1 in that department at the moment. Phillips. Easily cut out by Jobson. Not quite the same verve from Norwich that we saw earlier in the season from them, is there, Andy?
Well, they're on that little bit of a testing time mentally now. 1 or 2 results gone against them. People beginning to ask questions, and now they've just got to steady the ship. They go win tonight and they go top of the Premier League, so things can't be all that bad. And even if they lose, they're still in the top 4 or 5 in the league. That's been a tremendous start for Norwich.
But this is a critical phase for them, whether they can maintain and stay the pace. Culverhouse.
But with all the people back from injury, they're in a much better position to approach this difficult phase. I was just looking at their side tonight. I'm thinking about how they would be best served in hurting Oldham. With Oldham playing 3 narrow midfield players, you do feel that with the likes of Rule Fox and Darryl Such, and people like Bowen who want to get forward, the supply to Darren Beckford should be there, and it should be from wide areas.
It's been a good first season so far for Mike Walker, the Norwich manager. And he's handled the job really well, and with great charm too. Here's Butterworth. Bowen. Finding Robbins, whose first touch just letting him down. Mark Robbins, of course, playing in front of his dad tonight, who's a chief inspector in these parts. Split loyalties for him, publicly anyway. I bet privately there are no split loyalties. He wants young Mark to score. Marshall. Box for Norwich. Holston, one of many ex-Spurs players in the Norwich ranks. John Holworth, the Oldham Athletic goalkeeper, who's been more or less a fixture since he moved from Ipswich 2 or 3 years back. Big disappointment for him was being dropped for the League Cup final in 1990. That's a lovely ball. Culverhouse with the cross, must be a goal, and is for Robbins. They've got the goal, and Mark Robbins gets his first goal after 7 without one, and Norwich, with their first really menacing attack, are 1-up.
Super Norwich move, and very typical of them. Great little back heel here from Beckford, and watch the delivery from Culverhouse. Robbins just pulls behind Redmond, and that cross gives him a simple header. Just watch the way he's pulled behind Redmond there. He's gone to the near post, and look at the gap that Mark Robbins has created for himself.
Well, that was a really juicy one for a man who'd waited a long time for a goal. It was an open invitation, and he didn't say no. But Oldham coming back with Henry, and how expensive those 2 Oldham misses are looking now. Redmond. Back to Haller. Oh, that's a nice piece of play. Offside, Marshall. It's a lovely chest down that from Graham Sharp in there.
Yeah, he's been a target man as you're going to get, but what an important goal for Mark Robbins. 8th of the season, but never one more important, just to get his goal tally ticking over yet again. But it was a great little run. He dragged Redmond to the near post, just pulled behind them, and from that moment on, the cross was good, and Steve Redmond was always struggling.
It was a real quality goal, wasn't it? The whole construction of it. Beckford's back heel, good cross from Culverhouse, and the finish, well, perfection really. Out comes Gunn, and he did the right thing. Brian Gunn has already made one crucial save tonight from Ian Olney. So 1 or 2 problems for Oldham here. This does look, as we thought at the beginning, a game which might have more than the one goal in it.
This is an interesting area where I was wanting people to look at tonight. They've got such height, with Jobson coming and joining the three big front men and Paul Bernard up there as well. But this is an area where you do feel if the delivery's good and there's good movement, that Oldham might just get some joy tonight.
Here's the free kick. It's long towards Jobson. But Fox did well. He stopped him closing in on it. Jobson's got it now, though. Oldham with just about everybody, and Beckford's challenge there on Milligan was a little on the crude side, to put it mildly.
We'll give him the benefit of the doubt. We'll say he's a little bit rusty, I think.
That wasn't next week, it was the week after, wasn't it, that one? When he arrived.
It was clumsy rather than anything cynical in it.
Well, Milligan's okay anyway. Poynton with the free kick for Oldham. Beckford is back there, so too is Phillips. Henry skipping over the challenge of Bowen, and now Oldham have a corner kick.
It's quite amazing the way Oldham take the corners. They actually get the centre-back, Steve Redmond, to go up and take corner kicks for them. I don't think I've ever seen that before in football, the centre-back up there taking corners.
Got an awful lot of men in there as Redmond's corner comes off. Bernard going up with, dropping for Marshall! And charged down by the mass ranks of yellow shirts, and in particular Butterworth.
Yeah, he does well, Ian Butterworth here. Look, Marshall just pulls away at the back post. His control's good, hits the ball very well. But Ian Butterworth big enough to stop that.
Well, this is a similar sort of situation from which Oldham engineered a goal the last time we were here against Everton, but not that time. There's Ian Culverhouse, who provided the peach of a cross for Mark Robbins to put Norwich ahead here 2 or 3 minutes ago. Here's Sharp. He seems to have plenty of time on the ball. 32 years of age now, Graham Sharp. 12 Scotland caps and 4 times Everton's top goal scorer, ever present since he arrived here at Boundary Park.
I think value for money, as Joe Rowe would put it.
Well, one in the air by Jobson, but picked up by Crook and fed now to Ruel Fox. That goal will have lifted Norwich. Culverhouse again. Fox. Nobody there. Milligan. And that's well headed down by Marshall towards Sharp. Good idea, but very good chasing back and tracking back from Phillips to pick it up for Norwich. Phillips usually plays wide on the left in this Norwich formation, but tonight being asked to do a job in the centre of the midfield, and of course he plays right back for Wales. Versatile player. Sharp. Can Oldham find an equaliser? They've had their chances.
I think what you can be sure as well is they'll have some more chances. The question at the moment is, are they going to convert them?
It's knocked towards Robbins, but not very accurately. John Holworth, the goalkeeper that the Oldham players called captain, as in Captain Darling. Could have fooled me, that one, I must say. Those of you who are Blackadder fans. Beckford in chase for that one. Jobson wins it again. Here's Darryl Such. Can he get out of that corner? No. It's going to be a free kick for Oldham Athletic. Mike Milligan, who had an unhappy little spell at Everton and came back one season later, and well, Oldham Athletic made a £250,000 profit on the exchange. They're glad to see him back here. So important, of course, in their promotion season and then their runs in the league and FA Cups. Milligan it is. That was almost a good ball for Olney, who'd made a nice run.
What it illustrated to me, though, Ian, is that the lack of width on the left here, when Mike Milligan would normally have been looking to play a ball in behind Ian Culverhouse, just to pose some problems for him. He was restricted to playing a ball through the middle. And if Norwich back four play tight, if they play narrow, then you can see it being difficult for Oldham to penetrate with a straight ball.
Of course, Oldham teams of old would have had Rick Holden out wide on the left, but he's now at Main Road. That's a bizarre piece of defending from Fox. Now, what can Oldham conjure up this time? Gunnahala is going to try the long throw. Jobson's come forward from the back, looking for the flick on. Same towards him. Looked to be a little bit of a push. Bernard was almost in there.
Tell you what, Darren Beckford's a fortunate man to get away with that push. I think the referee, had he been in a different position, might have had a different idea on that.
It'll be worth another little look at that. Maybe we'll be able to do that in a moment for you. Meanwhile, Bernard coming through again. There was certainly a little nudge. I suppose it depends really to what degree the referee sees it as just part of the normal argy-bargy in the penalty area, or whether he sees it as an offence worthy of pointing to the spot. Poynton beating Fox, but Fox says thanks very much as he picks it up. Interesting angle on the ball, and they almost played that right back into the path of Beckford. Oldham, there are times when their defending is less than convincing.
Well, it's no surprise that Joe Royle looks a worried man at times when his team are defending. They really do take some chances, and at times are very, very unconvincing. This is a bread and butter clearance here for Steve Redmond, but he makes a mess of it, and then when Neil Poynton can clean it up, he almost gets caught in possession by Will Fox.
I think Beckford was so surprised to get it, that sort of opportunity coming from an opposing defender, that he didn't quite react to it. Jobson wins the aerial battle. Not quite sure what that really one was about from Ian Crook. Marshall with the back header. Norwich looking to get their passing game going, and Butterworth's ball looking to pick out Robbins, who was offside. Mark Robbins, the Norwich striker, £800,000 he cost from Manchester United. It's proved pretty good value, and he's come up with a goal tonight, just as he came up with a goal against Oldham for Manchester United in the FA Cup semi-final replay a couple of years ago. Redmond. Only trying to get there for Oldham. Norwich lines holding firm for the moment. Henry's cross, flicked on and in by Sharp. What a very, very good instinctive finish from Graham Sharp, and now it's happened at both ends. Robbins, who'd gone all those games without a goal, scoring for Norwich, and Sharp, 8 games without scoring, and what a way to end the drought.
It's a super cross, and it's the first real cross that they've put in all night. Graham Sharp's one of the best volleyers in the business, and it's difficult because he doesn't see it till late. He instinctively reacts. Brian Gunners, no chance.
5th goal of the season for Graham Sharp, and in the week when his testimonial match is coming up this Saturday at Goodison Park, and well, all neutrals, I'm sure, would say good luck to him. Super goal.
Well, having worked with him for 2 years, Ian, I know his qualities, and he was always a great volleyer. It was one of his strengths, and that was an ideal example of how good he is at it. Just what Oldham needed.